Welcome back to another holistic episode here on Your PG County Living. My name is Carolyn Fleary, and I'm a realtor and community guide serving the amazing people in Maryland. Have you ever wondered what did you need to do to get your home in order? In today's episode, I'm inviting a guest to come and talk to us about all those things you've been wanting to know. Andrea, I am so happy to have you here today. So many people ask me about what to do with an empty house. And I always say, let me go and contact a stager and they can tell you all about it. So happy to have you here. I'm a fan of yours. You have been a stager for 8 years. You serve the entire DMV area. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Carolyn, first for having me. I'm very excited to be here and share my passion. It's very exciting to help people as they are trying to sell their home, improve their home, or just a space. As you said, I've been doing this for some time, 8 years now, and it is very rewarding. I really enjoy seeing the complete transition of a room or a house. And the owner's reactions, it's always really nice. And then especially when they make more money in their pocket as a result. So that is why I do this. It's very, very enjoyable.
So Andrea, one of the key challenges that many of the homeowners that I deal with face when they're preparing their home for sale is they're not sure on what not to do. And when I'm not sure, they go ahead and jump into it and they end up making a lot of mistakes that I find can really turn off home buyers. Can you provide at least 2 common mistakes that homeowners should avoid when they're preparing their house for sale, and how can they avoid doing those things?
Okay, so let's see. That's an interesting question. So I would say things to not do would be to start any big projects. Sometimes you may think, oh, this needs to be done or that needs to be done. And my approach to things is usually on the financial side. I used to be in finance before the property management company. And I look at staging as where can we do the least to get the most out of their investment. So staging is an investment because the whole idea is to get a return on your money, not to just spend money without any kind of return. And you do get a return either in a faster sale, a sale for more money than you would hope for. So that's my approach. So you don't want to go diving into projects that aren't going to give you a return for your money. And definitely consult with your realtor on that because they're very equipped to answer those questions and give you the insight as to what's going to help your property sell for more money on that big side as far as doing major projects.
What tips have you learned from property management that could help our homeowners?
Yeah, so my husband and I had a property management company. We had about 300 doors, so they were constantly being turned over with rentals. We got to meet a lot of different personalities, whether it's the renter or their parents, and they're from New York or they're from Florida. So it was a whole spread of different personalities. So we got a wide variety of seeing what people look for. And, the first things that they might see in a property. And most of them are either staged or not. I would say rentals are not staged as often as homes for sale. Mm-hmm. But staging definitely does get a better response from the people looking at the property.
It's like the eye candy, and you and I were talking about, it's the first thing that they see when they come in. What are the top 3 spaces that a homeowner should address before they even decide to put their property on the market?
So 3 spaces, let's see, we won't talk about the outside, which is always the first impression. So keep that in mind. You definitely want to make sure you have great curb appeal. But inside, the 3 spaces that are most important are the first spaces in most houses: the living room, the dining room, and the kitchen. If people walk into a space where those 3 rooms are fully staged, they really feel this warm, welcoming feeling, as if I could move in here. This
Right.
is great.
We want
So,
them
and
to have the home feel like it's theirs.
right, exactly. It really is about pulling the dream out of them. And I felt the same way when years ago we went through model homes. It wasn't necessarily the home, it was the dream of what was going on inside of that beautiful home. And when you allow people to envision that, because the couch is there, the table's there, they can picture their family sitting around the table and they get emotionally involved. And when that happens, they usually put in an offer.
Yes, so we want them to be emotionally attached, and that's where your services are so important. Can you tell us why staging is important and keeping in mind those 3 important rooms? Why is it so important? Why shouldn't they neglect it?
Because it really gives them a great first impression. So every house is going to have its flaws. And when you put furniture in, it really attracts the eye away from those flaws. And where someone would come in and point out, oh, I don't like that, or this isn't perfect, there's a mark over here. Instead, they're looking at this space that's fully done. And as we just said, seeing themselves in that space. So it can hide a lot of imperfections, and it can pull at their heartstrings a little bit.
Show you a few photographs of before and after of
Okay.
some, home staging that was done for a few clients. Let's take a look at this first one with the red carpet and
Oh, okay.
the chandelier. Can you tell us why this first one is so bad and what's so great about the after?
Sure, sure. Well, first of all, you have the color. The color red is very intense, and it just does not bring peace to people when they first view it. So in staging, we try to stay away from that. You also can see the older furniture, which means it's an older home, and that just indicates it's older. And usually there could be problems with older homes. So what you want to do is freshen it up, as you can see on the right. This home, they changed the carpet, which was number one, to make a huge impact. Before they even painted the walls, I think, they probably just had their mouths drop at the difference. But as you see, they toned it down with a very mild color, and painted the walls. And of course, the newer furnishings.
Right. And I usually, when I go in, I use to homes, I usually tell sellers, hey, if you got that pink wall or that orange wall, we need to go ahead and paint it a neutral color. Because like you said,
Absolutely.
we want the buyers to see themselves in the home, and we don't want
Right.
them to be adversely affected by the pink carpet. Cool, cool.
Exactly.
Here. And it looks like they have some like brighter lighting. It's not even the chandelier. It looks like it's like a white light versus like a warm light,
Yes.
maybe, or
I'm looking at the photo on the left, and I don't think they have the lights on in that. It's just a lot of,
natural light.
yeah. So the whole tone of the whole room is completely different.
Okay. So on a scale of 1 to 5 on before and afters, what do you think?
Oh, this is a 5 for sure.
Awesome, awesome. But don't stop there. I have another one for you. We're going to look at this next home, the before and after of just a kind of a little family room. Tell us what you think about this one. The yellow pillows.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So this, I will say, not seeing the whole property, it definitely has converted a neutral space to a certain vibe, which for staging may or may not be good, depending on how well you know your potential buyer. So
Good
this is
point.
a very youthful type stage. It's very style specific. Some staging, generally in staging, you want to keep it neutral. You want to appeal to the most buyers. Now, I don't know this case, so maybe this was a very artsy type area, very artsy neighborhood with younger people looking for houses. So I think this is for me, I think this is a little too style specific, but I think it's adorable. Still very cute.
Are you saying that you really have to know who your target buyers are in your community, or know that what type of folks are in your community so you know how to stage? Or are you saying absolutely none of this color, keep it as neutral as possible?
No, I think if you know your buyer and they are like, for example, Hamden, it's a very artsy neighborhood. They are known for their wild type creative environment, the whole town. So I think a town like that, you can really appeal to people with something like this. Now, generally speaking, again, we just want to appeal to the masses because in most neighborhoods, it could be all kinds of people that are coming to look at that property. So you could have older couples, you could have couples with young kids, you're just not sure. So you want to tailor your staging to the buyer. And when you're not sure who the buyer is, you want to play it neutral.
Oh, that's such a good point. I definitely like that. So let's
Okay.
look at the final one.
Okay.
And this is a little peek into a kitchen that has, I don't know, what's changed here.
Oh,
Let's
let me
take a
see
look.
here.
The one on the right definitely looks better.
Yes. So the one on the left, they just had that one little bench. And
Mhm.
I'm not quite sure what this table is behind the counter. Is it a divider? It's kind of hard to.
Definitely, it is a divider, like a wall, and looks like it has a
Okay.
ledge on it, and then
Mhm.
there's the kitchen. But yeah, I agree. It's kind of hard to see. Gotcha.
Yes. I will say that that adding the dining table adds a purpose to that space. Otherwise, it's just, I think the little bench, although it does provide a little seating area, it's not functional in that space.
I agree. In some cases, some home buyers walk into a home that's not staged or has nothing in it at all, and they are hard pressed to figure out what to do with the space. So
Exactly.
definitely, yeah, that makes sense, is to show you as the home seller to show how the buyer can use the space.
Right. And if
Um, so there are a lot of homeowners that can't afford the full, package of what professional stagers provide, and they're often looking for some DIY method that they can implement to get their home ready for sale. Um, are there any tips that you can provide to someone who does not have the money to get full professional staging in every room in the home?
Absolutely. There's a couple solutions there. One of the services we provide or I provide, we meaning me, myself, and I, is a consultation. And what I do is I will come out, I'll come to the house, we spend about an hour and we walk through each room with the owner. We talk about things to get rid of, things to change, maybe some removal of pieces of furniture, or we even might suggest bringing in furniture depending on the property. So that is much more affordable than a full stage. We're not worrying about a mover, we're not worrying about lugging in furniture. So it's just a 1 hour consultation. So the second option would be do a partial staging.
Okay.
Um, and I always say, let's just focus on the most important rooms. So you want to grab them right away when they walk in the door, because that is really the moment. So the highest priority is going to be the living room, because it's
Okay.
usually the first room you see when you walk in. And in most houses, it will extend into the dining room or the kitchen. So if you have to cut some rooms out, I would say narrow it down to just those 3 rooms.
Andrea, I had a client who all they could afford to do was the living room, and they couldn't hire anyone, even a consultation. Is there something that some tip that you could provide this person who wanted to sort of use their own furniture to stage the room? What tips would you have for them for that living room?
I would say less is more.
Okay.
So we live so differently than we stage, including myself. There's kids involved, there's messes, there's eating food on the couch, whatever it might be. So one of the things, and you might have a lot of furniture because you have a lot of company all the time, or you have kids and they have friends over. So if you don't, when you look at the room, look at it more in the eye of a photograph as opposed to the eye of living in that space. And you'll find that you might have a few extra pieces that can go. They have no purpose when it comes to staging. So,
Nice. That is a great tip.
professional photos. Sometimes I'll even recommend if they're not going to pay for staging because it's not in their budget,
Right.
go with the photos first because that is very, very important. If we could go back to the other picture for just a moment, I just want to point out one thing.
Sure.
Privately, we talked, or I think it was before the recording, about how important I think photos are.
Okay.
And this is a great example of why you want professional photos. Although there's absolutely nothing wrong with the picture on the left besides it's an empty space. You know, it just shows a nice floor. There's simple curtains, the outdoors, but you can see what a difference the right lighting and professional photos make on the right, even without the furniture in there.
Right. So would you say the photos are just as important as staging? In fact, they should complement them?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is not good for my business, but I will tell people if you do not have money for both, you have to start with professional photos before
Absolutely.
staging.
Yeah. People are looking online before they're actually going into the house. So if you can sway them with something beautiful, and if it's staged when they arrive, that's even better. Andrea, thank you so much for joining us and providing us with these great tips on home staging and what are some of the important things that we need to address. Where can we find you?
Well, Carolyn, thank you for having me. You can find me on the internet at stagingbyandrea.com, Instagram, staging_by_Andrea, or Facebook/stagingbyandrea. So those three I try to stay active on. And if not, there's always the old-fashioned phone call.
Absolutely. And I'm going to have her information in the description. So be sure to scroll down and check her out. Don't forget to follow us here on the channel. Follow Andrea all over social media. And thank you so much for giving us these tips. Be sure to tune in to our next episodes where we share great information all about things that you can do to your home as you prepare to sell it. All right. Take care. Thanks for joining me. Thank you again, Andrea.
Thank
And
you.
see you next time.